right, joining me up on stage right now, Sarah and Wim, and I'm not going to introduce them. I'm going to let them introduce themselves because it's always better to hear from the horse's mouth. But who would like to go first? Tell us who you are, what your organization is, and what you do.
I saw the domino effect just pass over to me. Okay. So my name is Sarah Thomas, and I'm the Vice President of Commercial Strategy for Seismic. We are a powered clothing company, and we create apparel that is integrated with discrete robotics to augment human strength and performance at the core. I am an occupational therapist by clinical background, and I've been spending about 20 years now in the aging space, really trying to bring products and services to the market in a way that defeats the ageist mentality that we have globally and looks at things from a different perspective, how we kind of shift our perspective as we age. And about 2 years ago, I joined Seismic to help to commercialize the brand and really have a brand positioning that we desired that was an ageless experience, fashion forward. It's a wearable in a sense that, it's our clothing. We're not wearing robots. We're wearing clothing every day. And so how can we integrate technology and robotics into our apparel so that it's familiar, comfortable, wearable, breathable, and something that we want to wear every day? And so when I joined, I wanted to make sure that we, again, didn't have that ageist mentality. While we can help human mobility and human strength and stability through our actuators and through the muscles that augment our strength, we know we can help people as they age, but we also are dealing with fatigue and mobility challenges every day in our life as we push ourselves and in our performance in our employment. So we started as an apparel company, launched this integrated technology, and we specifically launched the reveal at TechCrunch Disrupt last year. And then from there followed each of the fashion shows in New York, London, and in Tokyo. So that we're looking at fashion-forward, apparel-centric, human-centric design that's inclusive and also tech-enabled to improve the quality of life and quality of movement. So I was the keynote speaker last year about how the future of wearables is really fashion. And it's, again, as Michael was saying earlier, it's away from the wrist. It's getting away from the wrist and into the whole body, and that's where our philosophy is. It's person-centered. And I'm looking forward to the discussion today on what we're seeing in the industry, what we're seeing for trends, and also how we view the movement of wearables into everyday life.
Great. Wim?
Hello, I'm Wim Vanheertum. I'm Business and Solutions Director, also known as Wizard of Growth of Wearin. Wearin is a very young company. We launched in October last year, so a little bit less than 4 months. And our mission as a company is really, we want to be a catalyst, trying to break a lot of the product silos that today exist in wearable applications, to try to build one holistic wearable ecosystem that's modular and that's also customizable so that we can increase safety and performance for the connected humans. So we are a very young startup, but actually we are a spin-off of an existing, well-established Swiss connector manufacturer, Fisher Connectors, who's known for the manufacturing of robust connectors, high reliable connectors for harsh environments. And 2 years ago, they launched a new product, which really opened the doors for Fisher Connectors into the wearable space. And actually, whenever we showcase the connector on shows, we set them up on a demonstrator, and we had a lot of customers coming over saying, what you're showcasing here is really what we want. Where can I buy it? And that's where we got the idea that, okay, maybe there's a good way, an opportunity to create a side business and offer really ready-to-use solutions into the market, because we need to get this wearable market started, and if everybody waits on the other one and nobody wants to put all the pieces of the puzzle together themselves, and that's why we started Wearin as a spin-off, basically.
Okay, I want to make sure everyone in the audience understands what a connector is. So maybe you could spend just a second to help everybody here appreciate what that is.
So when I say connector, I talk about a physical connector on an electronic side. Everybody knows when you plug your electronic device into a wall outlet, that's already a connector, your USB connector. But that's not the type of connectors that Fisher is into. It's really about push-pull circle connectors that you use to connect maybe a headset on a military radio. They have a lot of connectivity on medical devices, also on test and measurement applications where you have to connect and disconnect a lot of sensors very often.
Great, thank you. So the purpose of this panel is to kind of shift some of the dialogue that we've heard today that's a little bit more consumer-centric and talk about the applicability of wearables in commercial settings, industrial settings, and ultimately military settings as well. So I want to start with Sarah. You talked a lot about fashion, which sounds very consumer-ish. You talk about fashion shows where you guys are debuting stuff, but obviously the empowerment that your garment and your robotics enables would suggest that there's a lot of industrial, commercial, military use cases and applications of it. So maybe give us a little bit more insight on where you guys are going and how people are actually leveraging your technology.
Absolutely. So we are a spin-off from SRI, and the underlying technology was actually developed under a DARPA-funded program called Warrior Web. So we certainly know that there's military application as we were brought to fruition by creating additional strength for the military as they're carrying 100-pound packs. And then we decided to commercialize through this apparel approach and really make it familiar and comfortable, which is why we started with the consumer brand. And we felt it was important to start to place the powered clothing in a familiar way that people would wear every day. So we opened studios. Our first one was in Seattle in a consumer approach where people would come in and have a membership model, enjoy activities and education and learning, and also set personal goals around their suit use, around the power and stability that was created. We quickly learned that as a startup, we need to focus on one area, and the quickest way to market is B2B, so we've actually shifted into the employee health and wellness side. Where we were placing these, where the studio was, we found people who were healthcare workers, dining staff, hospitality, service workers coming to us and wanting it to augment the strength during the workday, to create less fatigue at the end of the day so they can enjoy quality of life at home, less pain, less perceived exertion, and we're finding that in the market in the industrial side. So with partners like Cintas, who outfit 5 million uniforms every day in hospitality and service industries, manufacturing, we're able to enter the market in a faster way, of course, with B2B as well as with partners like Cintas. Really taking a look at people who are standing all day on their feet, complaints of back pain or fatigue. And we're expanding for the heavy industrial use case and developing and co-developing in the construction workforce as well as the manufacturing side to really augment strength in a variety of ways. Right now we're at the core, so hip flexors and extensors, back and abdomen to really create a core strength that helps with mobility and fatigue throughout the day. But our actuators are able to really do anything your own muscles can. So we can have electric muscles that could stretch or can resist, and you see applications in fitness and in wellness as well as on the industrial side to be able to really move people throughout a variety of movements. And in the military side, there's a lot of interest in continuing to augment the strength of the military. So we're working closely with several branches of the military to develop specific applications. We're a programmable platform. It's customizable. We can integrate into other garments and sensing technologies similar to what you heard John say earlier. And we're able to really kind of take that platform and branch out into these various industries with partnerships and also with co-development to take that platform into a variety of other applications.
So similar to what I asked Wim, just let's make sure the audience completely can visualize what a hospitality worker is wearing, like from you guys, and how does that help them with the, hey, I'm standing around all day kind of thing? So what is it?
So our first garment that you might have seen last year was an undergarment. It's active wear, but it's really designed to be worn under the clothing and support the body at the core. We still are making bespoke suits that are tailored to the human anatomy, but we also have an over-the-clothes garment that allows workers to wear it over their uniforms and share between shifts. And we have the ability to sense between the individual workers or wearers. And so in hospitality or in manufacturing, for instance, they'll wear the garment over their uniform or maybe have an overcoat that they're wearing. It's still sleek and slim, garment focused and comfortable, lightweight enough that you could wear another garment over it, but it's comfortable as clothing, but it's something that you can share between individuals. So right now it applies force to the body, about 30 watts of power across the muscle groups at the core, so the hip flexors and extensors, providing abdominal strength and that lumbar support, as well as standing support to add additional stability and strength whilst people are standing all day.
Great. Okay, Wim, where can we find your connectors out in the wild today as it pertains to wearables, and or where are you anticipating you will be distributing and selling your connectors into? What are the use cases that people ultimately might bump into where they're going to see your connectors out there?
Yeah. As we come from a rugged connector, it's more focused really on rugged markets, harsh environments. So our key focus is really from applications in the military, the defense, industrial applications, and also extreme sports. That's the three typical areas of focus that we have. We are working a lot with a lot of partners across those industries. Military always takes a little bit more time, and it will usually go through pilots that will grow from just testing one system up to testing 10 or 50 systems. But once the big volume will come, that will become very big. Then there is, within the military, for sure, special forces, innovation labs, an organization that will work and will start to deploy a little bit quicker. But we really think that in the industrial environment, increasing the safety for the workers, that's really a market that we see grow and will kick off this year. Basically.
Okay, so let's take each of them. Extreme sports. Help us visualize. What are we seeing? Like what are they actually wearing, and then where's your technology embedded in the extreme sports?
A very specific example, what we also have on our booth here, is we are partnering with the America's Cup that will participate next year, and they have their life vests for which they want to also have wearables attached to the life vest. One for their communication, because they need to be in communication with their radio. The second one, they want to have also a camera so they can live video during the race. And they're also talking about attaching sensors that's more for during their training, so that they can really precise see and measure the movements of the whole team on the boat to optimize their workout.
Okay, that's super interesting. How about on the industrial safety side?
Industrial safety, I mean, safety is a really important topic. If you look at the numbers from the International Labor Organization, I mean, there's 2.3 million people that die every year related to work accidents or incidents. So it is a big topic. And the number one, of course, reason for accidents and death is collisions of people with vehicles. So there, it's about increasingly improving the visibility. That's why we know all the people in construction sites and warehouses wearing those very beautiful visual yellow and orange vests. And then they add LEDs to it, which is a first step to increase visibility with wearables. And the next step will be adding proximity warning sensors that when they get too close to a vehicle, then the person will be warned. And you can also define that maybe the vehicle automatically stops when they come too close. So there's a lot of applications and sensors and electronics that can step by step be integrated into those garments.
Okay, and then military?
Military was also for us very similar. The first market actually where everything started with. For the military, their first reason why they want to go with wearables is that if they create a distributed power and data hub inside the vest, they can first of all remove a lot of cables that are outside of the vest, which are today hindering the soldier in their movements, and also they can get tangled with the cables. So bringing the cables on the inside is the first movement that they want to do. And second, if you have this distributed bus, you can have one central battery, because the number one reason why the military wants to go into wearables is to optimize their battery management. Today they have to have individual batteries for all their applications. If you have a network in the vest with one central battery, you can downsize the applications themselves, because you remove the battery from each of the different applications once they get attached through the connector on the vest. And actually the connector then gets three functions. It's the connector that brings the electrical connection and for the signals and the power to the application, but it also becomes the physical attach to the vest. And the third part, if it's a small sensor, the connector itself can even become the sensor. So they miniaturize the equipment that the soldier is wearing, and that's why they really are looking into going to wearables.
So, for both of your businesses, do you guys dream up the use cases and the applications like, oh, this is for a vest or this is for this? Or do customers come to you, find you, recognize that you're doing some interesting stuff and say, hey, build me something for this particular use case?
No, it's really, for us, it's really based on existing use cases. How can we improve what people do today? And by improving them, how can we further enhance their experience?
I don't think anything succeeds without the market need first. I think that, there's, for us, there's a huge population that's aging globally, and we first wanted to start by really helping to support the aging process, keep people working longer, safer, healthier, with less pain, less fatigue, less injury, eventually, hopefully, less lost labor and wages, as well as workman's comp claims, and eventually, pulling into helping to we're in Tokyo and in the US, and so as we expand in Japan and expand in the US, we see people, whether it's their own fitness, health, and wellness goals, or it's the health safety officer at an industrial work site, they're seeing more and more injuries as people are getting older, and really wanting to continue to work and enable that working through this augmentation of strength. And so we've identified the needs, but also as we get out there, because we're a programmable platform and we can customize the approach, we have people coming to us wanting very specific things, from medical rehabilitation to dunking a basketball to a better golf game. They are coming and wanting really custom and personalized things, whether it's for their own individual use or for their industrial use case.
So how do you decide what you're going to customize or build? I mean, and answer that in the context of where are we in the life cycle of adoption for the kinds of technologies that both of you guys are pursuing? I mean, we've talked a lot about the consumer wearables, and I think people understand the general arc of adoption and usage on that front. But in the enterprise world, maybe you guys can share with the audience in the context of your respective companies.
I can take it first. So I think that there's mixed use cases. There's the employer and there's the employee. So the employee, for us on the industrial side, they want to feel better. They want additional strength and support, stability. They want to get through their workday without the fatigue or pain that they've been complaining about, and our wearable is not something that just tracks their movement or identifies the need that they have, but actually provides physical support and change to their performance and their workday. So that part is helpful to the worker. The employer rather, they are quite interested in the quality of movement of their individuals. So if someone, for instance, on the health and safety side does a body mechanics training or ergonomic assessment, and they're working on making sure people are staying within their power zone, preventing injury, and helping get through their day in a safe way, we're able to tell not only their position in space, but the quality of the movement that was performed. We have data that's being collected into the suit that is able to determine if the person was in an unsafe posture, in an unsafe position, and how much force they're applying within their body, and putting themselves at risk. What that does is enable this additional layer while we're really talking about the data that's then applicable for the education opportunities, the worksite assessment, the ergonomic redesign, as well as the workplace redesign. So whether it's the task, the role, the education, or the environment, we're able to use the data to create great change within the work environment. So we have, I think, a variety of polls for us. And we continue to just identify the greatest need within those areas and then build for that.
I think if I compare industrial and military market, I think it's really not about reinventing new use cases, but again, as I said, it's about optimizing what's important to them today. And by doing that, for instance, if you look in the industrial oil and gas, today they use gas sensors, but they're very expensive, they're bulky. So on 100 people that work in a refinery, maybe 1 or 10 get equipped. If tomorrow they get smaller devices that can be put on wearables, maybe they can equip the full team of 100 people. And from a data point of view, they will just multiply the number of data as they get. And so they have much more information on where their people are, how are they doing, if they get exposed or not. And so for the artificial intelligence of what they want to reach and how they can improve their safety, it's all going to get much more better as they multiply the number of data points that they can collect.
My last question to you guys, what trend or what change in behavior on the enterprise side might unlock more adoption, more usage, more consumption of your technologies?
Even if I'm a wizard, I don't have the answers to all the questions, but what can unlock? I mean, I don't know. It's, the availability of the solutions just need to come. I mean, and it's the vicious circle that we need to cut and just start to deploy so that people can really experience the benefit, both from a corporation point of view and from a user point of view that it brings. And this will then accelerate the adoption in different markets and with different people.
I think the longer-term data story is what's going to help. I think right now we are all somewhat in our infancy. I think wearables are in its infancy, even though we've been talking about this for 15 years on this stage. I think that we've got to move from the wrist, and we have to go into a total body awareness of how we're moving through space and what the quality of our movements are. And there's multiple ways to do that. But I do think that we need to tell the data story of what is the impact financially, what is the ROI, so that the enterprise adoption is there. What is the lost wages? What is the workman's comp? That's the longer term. But all of these companies are startups that need funding, and sorry, but the traditional venture capital wants a quick turn, and we're taking hardware, integrating it with apparel, and entering this market that has so many use cases. Yes, we have to focus. Yes, we have to prove it out, but we also need the support, I think, of the right capital behind us to be able to make that into the market and be there long enough that we have the proof that these things are helpful to the human experience, as well as the enterprise market, whether it's military or industrial, how we're able to move further in those markets with some support, I think, of partners from the capital side as well.
Great. With that, please join me in thanking Wim and Sarah, and we'll step off the stage.
Thank you.